In 2025, scientists spotted a rare visitor from deep space moving quietly through our solar system. As astronomers tracked it over many months, they realized something remarkable was happening. The object was actually heading toward Earth's neighborhood.
Are you paying attention at
yeah.
all to 3-Eye Atlas? Are you
Oh, there's
watching that?
the comet?
Yeah, whatever it is.
It'll be a very sort of heavy spaceship if you make it all out of nickel.
Oh, yeah. And
so-
fucking huge. The size of Manhattan and all nickel. That's kind of nuts.
Yeah, that's a heavy spaceship.
That's a real problem if it hits.
Yes. No, it would like obliterate a continent type of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe worse.
Yeah, probably kill most of human life.
This object, the 3-Eye Atlas, has now been captured at its closest approach to Earth. But there's another important question. Now that it has passed Earth, where is Atlas going next?
With 0 meaning it's a natural object, like a comet, for sure. And 10 meaning it's definitely a technological object.
The 3-Eye Atlas, closest approach to Earth. In 2025, a rare visitor from another star system came through our solar system, and it just achieved an incredible feat. Scientists call this object 3I/ATLAS because it was found by the ATLAS telescope, and it is the third interstellar object ever seen. But unlike a normal comet or asteroid, it didn't orbit the Sun, but instead it passed through on a fast, open path. In the latest shocking news, on December 19, 2025, the comet made its closest approach to Earth. Even at its nearest, it was still about 1.8 astronomical units away, roughly 170 million miles. So it posed absolutely no danger to our planet. That distance is much farther than Mars, and far too distant for Atlas to be visible with the naked eye. But even before the Atlas made its closest approach to Earth, it traveled very close to the Sun, reaching a point called perihelion on October 29, 2025. This was its closest point to the Sun, just outside the orbit of Mars, at about 1.36 astronomical units, 3 times farther than Earth is from the Sun. Around this time, the Sun was going through a solar maximum, a period of unusually intense activity that happens once every 11 years. During solar maximum, the Sun blasts out strong winds, solar flares, and huge clouds of charged particles called coronal mass ejections. These powerful solar forces can push on and heat nearby objects deep in space. As Atlas moved closer to the Sun, something surprising happened. It brightened much more than most comets do. Observations from spacecraft showed that as it got nearer to the Sun, its light grew many times brighter than normal. This dramatic brightening was linked to gas and dust being heated and released from the comet's surface. It was a normal process, but unusually strong for this object. In fact, the Atlas looked bluer than the Sun, which is a sign that certain gases like carbon monoxide were glowing as the Sun's energy hit them. Scientists also noticed that the way Atlas moved was quite strange. Most comets are pushed slightly by the gases escaping from them, but Atlas showed non-gravitational acceleration. These were tiny changes in motion that couldn't be explained only by gravity and the normal gas release. This isn't unheard of, but it was stronger and more unusual than expected for a typical comet. Astronomers around the world have been paying attention to the Atlas using powerful telescopes and spacecraft to study it, because this kind of interstellar object is very rare. But once Atlas got closer to Mars, experts captured a high-resolution photograph of the interstellar object. High-resolution photo of 3-Eye Atlas near Mars. In early October 2025, before the Atlas reached the closest point to the Sun and also the closest point to Earth, it passed near Mars. During that time, A fleet of spacecraft gave scientists a rare chance to see it up close. The object came from outside our solar system, so researchers were excited to catch detailed photos and data that could give us insights into where the Atlas came from and what it's made of. One of the most interesting views came from NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. Normally, MRO points its powerful high-RISE camera down at the surface of Mars to take super-sharp pictures of rocks, dunes, and craters. But on October 2, 2025, engineers turned the camera away from Mars, and instead they aimed at Atlas as it drifted about 19 miles away. You won't believe what they found out. At that distance, HiRISE could see the comet's coma, which is the cloud of dust and gas that surrounds its core. But even with its high resolution, the image shows Atlas as a fuzzy white ball, not a detailed object, because the comet is small and far away. Each pixel in the HiRISE shot represents about 19 miles of space, so the view is less like a close-up and more like a distant smudge of light. Along with MRO, NASA's MAVEN orbiter also looked at the comet around the same time. MAVEN used a special ultraviolet instrument to see hydrogen atoms in the comet's coma. Hydrogen is one of the simplest and most common elements, and seeing it helps scientists understand what kind of gases are coming off the comet as it is heated by the sun. Even NASA's Perseverance rover, which is parked on the surface of Mars exploring rocks and searching for signs of ancient life, pointed its Mastcam-Z camera toward the sky on October 4th and grabbed a shocking picture of the interstellar object. The ATLAS looked more like a faint smudge against the stars. The comet was much farther away than the rover, so it didn't look like a bright streak or detailed shape. The photo is still one of the many images that astronomers use to track its path and behavior. European spacecraft also joined the effort. The ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter tracked Atlas between October 1st and 7th, capturing frames that show it as a fuzzy white dot moving slowly through the star field. These images can be stacked together to show how the comet moved from Mars's orbit. The high-resolution photos of Atlas give scientists a lot of clues about what this unusual visitor from another star system is. After reaching its closest point to Earth, Atlas is now on its farewell path, and experts are wondering where it will go afterwards. On its farewell path. After its close flyby of Earth in December 2025, the interstellar comet Atlas didn't stop or turn back. It is moving away from us and heading back out into deep space. Because of the way it travels, scientists say it will never orbit the Sun again, and instead, it's leaving our solar system forever. Atlas is on what astronomers are calling a hyperbolic trajectory. This means it came into our solar system from outside and has now passed near the Sun and around the planets. Next, it will continue outward without looping back like a normal comet or asteroid would. It didn't slow down enough to be caught by the Sun's gravity, so it will keep going out into space after passing through. Currently, the comet is leaving the inner solar system. That means it has already passed the closest point to the Sun and the closest point to Earth. From this point forward, the distance between Earth and Atlas will only grow bigger. The next major event in its journey will be a flyby of Jupiter in March 2026, where it will come within tens of millions of miles of the giant planet. Jupiter's gravity might tug on the comet's path a bit, but it won't trap Atlas in orbit. The interstellar traveler will continue moving outward. After passing Jupiter, Atlas will travel past the outer planets, such as Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune over the next few years, but it won't come close to any of them like it did with Earth. Eventually, it will reach the far reaches of the solar system, the Oort cloud, which is a distant shell of icy bodies surrounding our Sun, and then cross beyond it into true interstellar space. Scientists say that it would take thousands of years, possibly over 8,000 years, before Atlas is completely beyond the Sun's influence. Since Atlas came from another star system and is now heading back toward the stars, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us to understand what the interstellar object is, now that it's in our own neighborhood. Observatories on Earth and in space have been tracking its path and studying its light and gas composition while it was close enough to see. But soon, it will fade into the background of space and continue its long, lonely voyage between the stars. Before Atlas got close to Earth, it swung closer to the Sun, and experts made some shocking discoveries in that moment. New discoveries at perihelion. As Comet 3 I-Atlas swung close to the Sun, in late October 2025, scientists watched it very closely using telescopes on Earth and in space. These observations revealed new and exciting discoveries about how this strange object behaves as it warmed up and interacted with the Sun's energy. One of the most interesting findings is that Atlas had rotating jets of gas and dust coming from its surface. These jets were seen in the comet's sun-facing tail, sometimes called an anti-tail, which points roughly toward the Sun, instead of away from it, like normal comet tails do. Scientists saw the jets wobbling back and forth every 7 hours and 45 minutes, which told them something very important. The solid, or nucleus, of Atlas is actually spinning around on its axis once every 15 hours and 30 minutes. This wobbling motion has been tracked on multiple lights over several months before it reached its closest point to the Sun. While people sometimes wonder if objects like this could be something unusual or artificial, a major scientific effort has been looking for technosignatures, which are patterns or signals that would mean it has been made with artificial technology. On December 18, 2025, just one day before the comet's closest approach to Earth, experts scanned Atlas with very sensitive receivers in the radio part of the spectrum. After carefully analyzing the data from 1 to 12 gigahertz, the team did not find any signs of artificial radio signals coming from the comet. This result supports the idea that 3I Atlas is a natural object, not a manufactured probe or spacecraft. Another exciting discovery came from space observatories studying parts of the light that we cannot see with our eyes. In early December, the European Space Agency's XMM Newton X-ray spacecraft and the Japanese JAXA/N ASAXRISM Observatory captured X-ray images of Atlas. For the first time in history, scientists could see an interstellar comet glowing in X-rays as it interacted with the solar wind. It was a stream of energetic particles flowing out from the Sun. These X-ray observations show that the comet's gases are energized by the solar wind and reveal atoms like hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon, and oxygen in its extended coma. It easily reaches hundreds of thousands of miles from the nucleus. These recent discoveries give further information about 3I/Atlas, and this is quite interesting when you look at all the scientific anomalies of the interstellar object that experts have realized over the years. Scientific anomalies of ATLAS. When the interstellar comet 3L/Atlas came into our solar system in 2025, scientists expected to see something much like the comets we know from around the Sun. But as data poured in from telescopes on Earth and in space, researchers noticed some strange and unexpected features that made Atlas stand out from the normal comet. One of the most unusual things about Atlas is the way its tail and jets behaved. Typically, a comet's tail points away from the Sun because solar radiation pushes dust and gas outward. But with Atlas, astronomers saw something rare called an anti-tail, a stream of material extending toward the Sun. Within this structure, experts found jets of gas that seemed to wobble or shift over time. And this told scientists that the comet's icy nucleus was rotating on its axis. This kind of sun-facing jet isn't seen in most comets and has helped researchers learn how fast the object spins as it moves through space. Another odd feature is what the comet is made of. Scientists looking through powerful telescopes, like the James Webb Space Telescope, showed that Atlas's coma, the foggy cloud of gas around its core, is rich in carbon dioxide compared with water. Most comets that experts have studied have comas dominated by water vapor as the ice turns to gas when they warm up. The unusually high amount of CO2 in Atlas suggests it might have formed in a very different part of its home planetary system before it came our way. Atlas also appeared to brighten faster and more dramatically than expected as it approached the Sun. While normal comets do grow brighter as their ices heat up, the amount of light that Atlas gave off and the sudden changes in its appearance were surprising to scientists. In some telescopes, its coma seemed to shift in size and brightness in ways that didn't match simple models of comet activity. Even light behavior was strange. Observations showed that the light from Atlas's coma had a high degree of negative polarization, meaning the way sunlight reflected off its dust and gas was different from what's usually seen in comet comas. This hints that the mix of materials, like the icy grains and dark carbon-rich dust, was actually stranger compared to the typical solar system comets. Some scientists and experts have suggested wild ideas like alien technology, but the consensus among astronomers is that Atlas is a natural object with unusual but physical explanations grounded in chemistry and physics. These anomalies don't make it alien. They make it a fascinating window into how objects from other star systems are built and behave. And this gives scientists a rare chance to learn more about the diversity of materials and processes way beyond our solar system. But because the Atlas suddenly appeared in our solar system, experts have been wondering where it came from and just how old it is. Origin and Ancient Age. When astronomers found out about the Atlas on July 1, 2025, they quickly realized that this object was definitely not from our solar system. Its path through space isn't a loop around the Sun like planets or ordinary comets. Instead, it follows a hyperbolic trajectory, meaning it came in from far outside our solar system. That's why scientists call it an interstellar object, the third one ever confirmed, after one I/Oumuamua and two I/Borisov. Where did the Atlas come from? When researchers traced its motion backward through space, they found it was arriving from a direction near the constellation Sagittarius, a region pointing toward the center of our Milky Way galaxy. But even more interesting is that Atlas seems to have come from a part of the Milky Way called the thick disk. This is a broad, older band of stars that surrounds the galaxy's younger, thinner disk, where our Sun and solar system formed. The stars in the thick disk are way more ancient than our neighborhood, and objects that form around them are also very old. Because of this origin, scientists have estimated that 31 Atlas is extremely old, possibly billions of years older than our own solar system. The Sun and Earth are about 4.6 billion years old, but measurements of Atlas's motion and where it likely came from suggest that it could be between about 7 billion and possibly even 11 billion or more years old. That means this comet might have been forming way before our Sun even came into existence. To put that in perspective, when Atlas formed, the early Milky Way galaxy was still young and developing. It was a very different place, filled with gas and dust, where stars and planets were first taking shape. Over billions of years, the comet drifted through interstellar space, probably thrown out of its original star system by gravitational forces from giant planets or other stars. We don't know the exact star where Atlas was born. Because it has been traveling for so long, possibly across vast distances of the galaxy and past many stars, any trace of its original home has been lost. But its composition and path still carry a lot of clues about the ancient environment where it formed. Because of how strange Atlas is, and the questions about where it came from, there have been theories about the interstellar comet. Theories about the Atlas. When scientists first spotted Atlas in July 2025, they immediately knew this object was unusual because it was moving too fast and on a path that showed it came from outside our solar system. This has led to several ideas about what it might be and where it came from. The main scientific theory is that Atlas is a natural interstellar comet, much like the two other interstellar visitors we've seen so far. These objects are ancient pieces of rock, ice, and dust that were once part of another star system and were kicked out by powerful gravity into the galaxy. As Atlas traveled through space and approached our Sun, its frozen ices warmed up and released gas and dust, forming a glowing cloud and tails, just like comets do. This view fits best with what most astronomers see in the data so far. Within this natural comet idea, there's also a more detailed suggestion about Atlas's past. Because of the direction it came from and the way it's moving, some scientists think it may be extremely old, perhaps billions of years older than our solar system itself. It may have formed around a very ancient star in a part of the Milky Way called the thick disk, where older stars live, making it possibly one of the oldest comet-like objects ever seen. This could mean its ice and dust carry clues about environments very different from our own. Because Atlas is so strange in some of its behavior, like its unusual brightness changes, unusual gas composition, and jets of material that don't always match exactly what we expect from typical comets, some individuals and scientists have proposed more speculative theories. One of the most talked about alternative ideas comes from astrophysicist Avi Loeb, who has sometimes argued that objects like this could potentially be a technological probe or artificial object sent by an intelligent civilization. His suggestion is meant to be bold and thought-provoking, but it is very much a minority view and not supported by direct evidence. Most experts continue to interpret Atlas as a natural comet based on the available data. Ever since they captured the Atlas when it got to its closest point to Earth, scientists have gotten more information about the strange interstellar object. What do you think is the most surprising aspect of 3L/Atlas? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. So, thanks for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.